Good afternoon. This is Tuesday, June 9th, 2020 at 2 p.m. This is Robert Pomerantz, the Air Town Manager. I'm joined with Carly Antonellis, the Assistant Town Manager. And this is the public forum on the General Code articles, the annual town meeting. And before we get started, we just want to remind everybody that town meeting is scheduled for Monday, June 15th at 7 p.m. in the high school auditorium, and we encourage everybody to attend. We will be implementing a social distance and sanitization plan to make the meeting safe and successful for everyone. And in preparation of that, we're doing a series of public outreach forums on various aspects of town meeting. Today, Ms. Antonellis is going to do an overview of Articles 32 and Article 33 in the town meeting warrant, which we refer to as the General Code articles. We'll also be back on Thursday, June 11th at 5 p.m., where we'll do a complete overview of the FY21 budget, as well as a review of the whole town meeting warrant. And Ms. Antonellis will also review Article 32 and 33 again. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Carly, who's going to give an overview of Article 32 and 33, and at the conclusion of her overview and presentation, we'd be happy to take any questions or comments from the public. So with that, I'll turn it over to Carly.
Thank you, Robert. I'm going to be doing, I have a PowerPoint presentation, so I'm going to share my screen with the audience. Just make sure. So you should be able to see now the general code with the books to the left. What we wanted to do in preparation for town meeting was just give an overview of why we decided to go down this this path. We adopt all of our bylaws and regulations into one central location, so they're easier for the residents, for employees, for any customers we have come through town. We want to make sure that any of our governing documents are easily accessible for everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Here we go. So the goals of contracting with General Code, we began this process back in 2017. As you'll see in a moment on the history, the timeline slides I have. We began the process to locate all existing bylaws and regulations for ease of use and increased navigation abilities on our town's website. The town wanted all information together and indexed in one central location, as I'll show you in a few minutes. Now, depending on topic matter, and if it's a bylaw or if it's a regulation, they are filed in different spots on our website. We work with General Code, and that's what they do. They work with cities and towns across the United States, and in particular, they have customers in Massachusetts. Many of our neighboring towns, which I'll show you in a few minutes, work with General Code. They host all the information on their website, which links to our website. And again, it's to be able to help constituents find and access information relative to town bylaws and regulations. I thought it'd be helpful just to go over a quick overview of how a bylaw in a town is passed. There'd be a proposed bylaw either on a town meeting warrant, or it could be submitted by a citizen's petition. Then it gets placed on the warrant for town meeting approval. Then what happens is any bylaw goes to the Attorney General's office, the Massachusetts Attorney General's office, for review. What they do is they review the content, make sure there's no conflicts with existing state law or statute. And then once the Attorney General's office approves it, it becomes an official bylaw. And very similar for the regulation process, this doesn't go through town meeting. Regulation are board level documents. So what usually happens is that the local board or commission, say the Board of Health, they'll write a proposed regulation. They'll hold public hearings on the regulation. then they'll approve it, and then it becomes regulation. And then you'll see what happens next. Things kind of get lost in the shuffle. Bylaws are on one section of our website. You can see here on the left-hand side, they're Roman numerals. And then it's just a series of PDF documents we found through this process that with previous town clerks and previous employees, some of the information wasn't taken down, leading to confusion. So if we adopted a new bylaw, the old one was still up, which created a lot of confusion over the years. Regulations are filed on the website by board or committee jurisdiction. So what we wanted to do, certainly for the residents and definitely as well for the employees, when we're looking for someone to assist something, we want to make sure we could have everything in one spot so you can see the whole gamut of all our governing documents. So the timeline I'll go over in the May 8, 2017 annual town meeting authorized $20,000 for the town to contract with General Code, which was obviously passed. We convened a internal working group consisting of Selectman Janice Livingston, myself, the town clerk Susan Copeland, and the police chief Bill Murray. What we did was researched all of our documents here at Town Hall, anything that was existing on the books from previous town meetings or board and committee meetings that had been approved. Everything was sent over to General Code. This took quite a while to compile. They went through everything. They wanted to identify the conflicts and inconsistencies, which I had just mentioned, that when a new bylaw came on, sometimes the old bylaws weren't taken down. They create an index for the town, and then they prepare everything in one book, and it's called the Bylaws and Regulations of the Town of Air, Massachusetts. Then there's some more timeline. Over to your right-hand side, the colored boxes starts with a material review, everything that we've done. In June of 2017, we started with a material review. We worked with an attorney at General Code. What they did was organize everything, send it back to our working group and said, hey, how does this look organizationally? Does this make sense putting these things here? Yes, then they'd send us back throughout the process. They'd send back these questionnaires. It says building inspector in this section, but over here it says building commissioner. Same thing with town administrator, town manager. They really cleaned up. They took out some stuff that was inconsistent with state law or has been found to be in conflict with state law. They highlighted all of that information for us. So throughout the process, we are here now, which is the final draft. So we directly worked the internal working group with General Code to make sure all the information was up to date. And this, we're going to have everything up to date as far or as recent as the fall town meeting in 2019 with the form-based codes. So each department, they were integral in this process. We sent out every bylaws, they got everything that their department oversees to make sure that what they had on the books matched what we had on the books. So that process took a while, but we finally got into the final draft. And I just want to make an important note that all the general content of what was on the books here in the town of Air, that remains the same unless it was found to be in violation of state or federal law. We also have a red line document that's on our website that you can see what was taken out, what was added, but really it was just a reorganization of everything on the book so it would be easier for folks to find and to use. Here I have a sample of the code. This one is on town meetings, so instead of bylaw, let's see, which one was it? I'm sorry, it doesn't say, but whatever Roman numeral. This is there'll be now chapter 85, and you can see that everything is incorporated where we switched last year the dates of the town election and the annual town meeting. It also gives you some backup so you can track back to where the changes were taking place. At the end of this process, if Articles 32 and 33 pass at town meeting, we'll get hard copies of the code. We'll have them here at Town Hall, at the library. Everything is going to be fully searchable online on our website, which is going to be really helpful for folks. And again, like I mentioned earlier, General Code works with many municipalities in Massachusetts, including several of our neighbors, Groton, Harvard, Lancaster, Lunenburg, Sterling. And we've reached out to town managers and town clerks in these cities and towns, most of the towns here, but they were very supportive of the process, and they said it makes it so much more streamlined from going from approval on town meeting floor and getting it into your books. So right now I'm just gonna stop sharing. Well, I'll stay here for a sec just so you can see. If you go to the Town Affairs website and you hit departments and you go to the town manager page, the full 562 page code, the final draft, is available at this link, General Code. It breaks it. It's basically what the code's going to look like. And before we move on, I just wanted to get to a different site just so I can show you how it looks online. The town of, sorry. All right, I'm going to share a screen again. In the town of Harvard, we'll use them, our neighbors. So this is their website. Here's their bylaw. That's similar. Ours is going to, our hard copies will look like this. You click onto the codified bylaws, and then you're able to search by keyword. Everything is organized, and while this comes up, it'll just give you an idea of how it will look once it's in air. For the remainder of the process, assumes this passes at town meeting, we should be up and going hopefully by the mid-fall, and we'll have everything. So if you wanted to look at alarm systems, you click and it will take you through everything. And again, it shows you some history. So if there are recent amendments, you have an idea of when those took place. So I'll stop there. That completes my presentation just on the overview of the process, but I'm happy to take questions or comments if anyone has any.
Are there any questions or comments for Ms. Antonellis? If you would just unmute yourself and just state your name, and we'd be happy to answer any questions or comments that individuals may have. If I could just add, Carly, an excellent job to you in the working group. I think some of the key takeaways is, again, we're looking at a way to modernize all the bylaws and regulations in terms of being user-friendly, not only for the public, but for departments, and that both Article 32 and Article 33, as you mentioned, I think it's important to stress, don't substantively change any of the bylaws unless there was a conflict with law, which means it would be invalid anyway, that we're asking town meeting to approve the general code format.
Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to, put this out there too, in case anyone did have questions. I know when you're reading through the warrant, it says re-adopt, there may be some questions. So if you don't have any questions now and something pops up later, feel free, you can email atm@air.ma.us, or you can give me a call in the town manager's office, which is 978-772-8220. I'd like to thank the town clerk, Susan Copeland, who's on the call, and police chief, Bill Murray, who were great throughout our working group process to make sure that everything got included and incorporated. And Selectman Janice Livingston was also in the group, and it was a great help. So I want to thank everyone for that.
Great, and we just want to remind everybody that we'll be covering Article 32 and Article 33 again this Thursday at 5 o'clock when we do the complete overview of the FY21 budget and the whole town meeting warrant. That's this Thursday at 5 o'clock by Zoom in preparation for town meeting. Most importantly, we want to encourage everybody to attend town meeting on Monday, June 15th at 7 p.m. in the high school auditorium. We have an entire plan of social distancing and sanitization to make it as safe as possible for those attending. And again, as Carly mentioned, if there are any questions on Article 32 and 33, please contact her. Also, any questions on any town meeting material, please contact our office. Thank you, Carly.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining us.